I met a witch the other day. She said, "Are you coming out to play?" When I declined, she said, "How tragic. I could show you lots of magic." "Like what?" said I. She smiled and beckoned. "Well, come a little closer for a second." 2 safety pins she then withdrew from a pattern purse of blue. 1 in each hand she took the pins, saying, "This is where it all begins." She rubbed them lightly as a feather, and suddenly they were linked together. She cackled as I gave a start to see the pins then melt apart. "Do it again," I then demanded. "Don't be rude," she reprimanded. But once again she held them gently. You may rest assured I watched intently. She rubbed them lightly as before, and believe it or not, they were linked once more. She chuckled, and at me she winked, as suddenly they became unlinked. I said, "Please, will you illuminate? How do they link and separate?" "You shouldn't ask," she then admonished. "It's for me to know and leave you astonished. But since I like you, and just for fun, I'll show you how the trick is done. This business where I rub the pins, saying this is where it all begins, is just for show. It's presentation, designed to break your concentration. What really happens," said she to me, "too quick by far for you to see. This pin's released and threaded through, then quickly fastened. Too quick for you." I smiled. I said, "That can't be true. I have to take a different view." She said, "You're right, of course. There is no fusion, because right from the start, it was just an illusion." I'm a teller of tall tales. Tall tales I tell, great epics and legends, short stories as well, of heroes and villains and maids locked in towers, of wizards and witches I could go on for hours, of monsters and dragons I know quite a lot, and I've seen the place where Cock Robin was shot. So listen a while, settle back in your seats, and I'll spin you a yarn that you'll find hard to beat. Great epics and legends, short stories as well. I'm a teller of tall tales I tell. There was once a storyteller who inadvertently offended a rich and powerful king. The king was furious, and in his rage condemned the storyteller to death. On the day of his execution, as was the custom of the time, the storyteller was granted one final request. He said, "I ask only that I be allowed to live as long as it takes the king to solve a riddle." Well, the king rather fancied himself at solving riddles, and so he readily agreed. But through all of his lifetime, he was unable to solve the storyteller's riddle. It became his lifelong obsession, until eventually he lost his mind, he lost his queen, he lost his kingdom. He died in misery in a place set aside for the incurably insane. As for the storyteller, well, he lived to a ripe old age, dying peacefully in his sleep. The riddle was considered to be such a threat to the sanity of man that a law was passed forbidding it ever to be repeated, and it never was. Until a few years ago, an archaeologist discovered an old manuscript upon which was written the story that I've just told you. The manuscript contained the storyteller's riddle, and I could tell you what it said. But if I did, you might try to solve the riddle yourself. So before doing that, just think and ask yourself, are you sure that you want to risk losing your sanity? Very well, you've been warned. This is the storyteller's riddle. What is it that God never sees, that a king only seldom sees, but you and I and people all over the world will see every day of the week?